And then it's got some sort of fallback. Alright, so let's see. Try and do the following. Parse the parameters, and if you can't do that, just pass in something else. And then if it's not an array, then you throw an error, and then that will be caught, and we'll just fall back to that anyway. So let's see. So that's cool. What if I put in should probably break unexpected token. Unexpected token. Uh, Unexpected token. Does that go away with just making that variable better? No. Okay. So what? Oh, I see. It's this thing down here, isn't it? Um, Blacklisted furnace tick scenes. Okay. So now that error's something else. If furnace data dot furnaces. So if a furnace exists, then you can do that. Oh, what have I broken? So yeah, we're just making sure that a furnace exists before we try and set the interval. Because if nothing exists, then you know what? I think I did do that round the wrong way. You probably do want that inside. So we start the interval. So the point of this is maybe we don't have any furnaces to begin with, but we still want to be ticking to check if something does eventually get added. So that's why we put that inside the tick, but we want to check if something exists before looping through them. Huh. Not a function. Okay, so it's still an object. Um, can I just catch the length of that? Maybe I'm just doing this the wrong way. Furnaces. Surely if it's for each and nothing is in here, then it would be fine. So why? So is that the whole problem? We were trying to loop through each of these items in the furnace, but there wasn't an item, so it was breaking. That should be outside. I would have thought if this is being set to an empty object, you can still do for each on the empty object, it would just do nothing. So that's kind of weird, but maybe the point is if it's an empty object, it doesn't know if you can loop through it yet. It doesn't know if it's going to be the type of object that has multiple things in it. So maybe that's why we just need to check if anything is in it first. But anyway, let's see. If I now go here and put something nonsense in here, will it just break immediately? Yep. Instance is not an object, so we need to validate that what is being passed in is actually a scene. If that's not a thing, we'll just continue. So what I think this is doing is try and grab a scene from this, but this might return undefined or null if it's not really a scene. So then we can check if it's null or undefined, just continue the for rather than doing the rest of this block. So continue means continue with the next iteration or the next index rather than performing any more code in this block. It's a bit of a strange word because instinctively I would think continue means just continue, but hey, I guess it just means continue with the loop. So yeah, there we go. That seems to have fixed it. If they put in absolute nonsense here, then it's not going to break the game anymore. And if I take out title, we should see it tick in the title. There we go. Brilliant. And this is what coding's all about. You know, you might want to just do lots of fun stuff, but you need to make sure you're stopping the user from breaking the game at every point. So now something will tick. We have it seems like a fairly robust tick system now. So when we actually add stuff here, we're going to need to have some way of, we need to find out if there is an input item, if there is fuel, all this sort of stuff. I don't know if it's okay to just start slapping functions in here or if that's sort of bad because it's not tied to an object then. Can I just add it to furnace data? Um, has has fuel level, I guess is what I'm looking for here. Is active. Maybe is active can mean if there's currently a fuel source powering it. So we just slap a function in here, we might be able to use it just from furnace data. Maybe pass in a furnace ID or furnace data here. return furnace data, fuel level greater than 0. So if the fuel level is greater than 0, it's currently active and we need to do something. If furnace data is active, and then we pass in this, hold on, what am I doing? You can't call that furnace data. Where else have I done that? Furnace data. I think I've done that a lot of places where I shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, look here. Oh, it's lowercase, which means I do get away with it. Okay. For a minute there, I thought I was overwriting the furnace data, but okay, it seems like it's fine because it's lowercase. So if the furnace data is active, blah blah blah. Um, is this the way I should be doing it, or should I just make it tick itself? Let's just see how it goes. We'll try and get some code working, and then I can worry about cleaning that up after. So if it's active, furnace data, fuel level, -1. And then we'll say furnace data dot has input, and we will return furnace data input item. Yep. So if this doesn't exist, it will return null, I believe. But if it does exist, then it will say there is input. So let's see. Furnace data has input, and we'll pass in the lowercase furnace data. If there is input, we want to take furnace data input item dot progress and +1. So the fuel level goes down, progress goes up. So let's just add some comments here. Attempt to reduce fuel level. So that's the first part here, done. If the furnace runs out of fuel, check if there is an input item before adding more. Okay, so these maybe overlap, kinda. So let's check if it's out of fuel. So we'll do it again. If furnace data is active, and the reason why this is okay is because we check if it's empty, and then we will, you know what, maybe this should be at the start, because then you're kind of getting 2 ticks here. If it's active, do something, and then return maybe, or continue, sorry. Maybe it is return. So for each, I guess the point is that it's not iterating over each one like it would with a for loop. So you can't do continue to skip. You would probably do return to just end this block, and this will continue on anyway. So yeah, the whole point of this is if it does something, you want to stop because then it's done. The whole point of the tick is that it does one thing. So if it's active, it will reduce the fuel level and add one to the progress and then stop. So the only thing here is yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Next step would be and there is a fuel source and there is an input item. So if furnace data dot is active, but we're going to say if it's not. So if it's not active, is that how you do ands in JavaScript? Come on. So if it's not active and furnace data dot has input, uh, so now we need to do has fuel. Uh, some of this might overlap with what I've already written, but the code I've stuck into scenes and windows. I think I prefer this way of doing it because it makes it very specific to my furnace, rather than being specific to a window or a scene. And it means that you can use it from the window or the scene without it being specific to one of those. So yeah, I'll have a look over the old code and see if I can replace some of it with these checks. So has fuel is going to be furnace data fuel item dot item. Yeah, same thing. Has fuel. Okay, so if if the if there's no fuel left and there is fuel available and there is an input, then we want to take one away from the quantity. So fuel item dot quantity minus one. Then we need to get the item's metadata to see how much it should increase by. So this is going to be furnace data fuel level plus equals the furnace data fuel item dot meta, and then whatever this was that we called it, fuel. Um, so the window needs to be updated at some point when all this is going on. So I'll need to also have a look at how to do that. So the check is going to be fairly simple when it's redrawn. It's just going to be if there's still, oh, hold on. I could do it here. If furnace data fuel item dot quantity is equal to 0, that means we want to reset this. So this is a great example of here how I've got reset fuel item to null. I'm going to want to remove that. Reset fuel item to null. And I can just add it here. Reset fuel item to null. Pass in some kind of furnace data, just like that. And probably want to delete that whole thing so it's easy to see what was using it. Reset input item to null. Going to do the same thing. Set input item to null. Furnace data, not function data. So let's see what was using that. There should be some errors. This reset input item to null is going to be furnace data reset input item to null. And we're going to pass in the furnace data. So that's a bit nicer. It means everywhere can use it without it being restricted to one scene or one window. Reset fuel item to null is going to be furnace data dot reset fuel item to null, and it's just going to be furnace data that we pass in. Initialize furnace data. This itself can probably be reduced into a better like furnace data function. Let's see. Furnace data dot initialize furnace. You know what? I don't actually know if there's any detriment to adding functions into this thing here. Oh, something just came to mind actually. When we're saving and loading, we don't want to just store all the furnace data because then that means we're saving all these functions to the save file, which is just a waste. You don't need that. So when I'm saving and loading, I will have to save that dot furnace or that dot furnaces. And then when I'm loading, I will just dump these furnace data, dump the furnace data back into this. So that's something to watch for. Yeah, when saving and loading, don't just be adding this whole thing into the save contents. So let's chuck it here. Let's see. We probably want to pass in furnace ID here. If furnace data dot furnaces, maybe I can just access this with furnaces. Furnace ID. Yeah, so same thing. I'll try just furnaces since we're inside the furnace data object. Okay, furnace there. The fuel level's nothing. Reset it. Reset it. We can maybe just do that. Do this. So let's try using initialize furnace here instead of in here. So this is fine. We would want this out. Furnace there dot initialize furnace, and then we pass in this furnace ID, and inside this we do the check to make sure it's not already something before overwriting it. So let's see if it works or if I've just broken all of it. Furnaces is not defined. That's probably right at the bottom. This dot furnaces, or does it have to be? Okay, okay. So let's say furnace data dot furnaces. Let's see if that's fixed the issues or if there's maybe something a bit more I need to be worrying about. Oh, can't set property of fuel level for undefined. So what's the problem here? Oh, this. Oh, okay. So let's undo that because maybe this furnace is still fine. The problem is this: we don't have an access to this underscore furnace ID. We just have the furnace ID. So let's see if that worked. Alright, so put some coal in here, put some wood in here. So it's ticking, but at the moment we don't really see anything happening. It's also operating really slowly compared to the input I was giving it before. So it takes once a second, which means it's going to take 50 seconds to make one bit of meat. So I'll just make that a bit lower, 3 seconds. Be 5 seconds for that. You know what? Let's keep it low just for testing. That can tick 5 times. Obviously, this is not good for a game, but that's not the point right now. So if I pop a bit of wood in here, it should burn for 2 seconds and then disappear. But there's no input item, so it shouldn't do anything. Let's add wood. There's no real feedback, so I can't really tell what's happening. Maybe this little window in the middle needs to be one row